Welcome back, y'all. So you can see we are in a different setting currently. I'm currently traveling, so we're making do with what we got. No mic, no fancy lights, no nothing, just the desk light here at the hotel I'm staying in tonight, and that's all we got. But I'm going to go ahead and play a quick sound for you, and you tell me what you think it is, and you decide what we're talking about. So if you guessed correctly, that was the Huey, one of the most iconic womp 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 sounds you could hear. So I already summarized the Wikipedia page for us, so let's go ahead and get in it. The UH was developed in response to a 1952 U.S. Army requirement for new utility helicopters capable of medical evacuations, general support, and training. The first flight of the prototype XH-40, which flew in October of '56. It was turboshaft powered, which is the first turbine-powered helicopter to enter production for the U.S. military, replacing the older piston-engine designs, offering better power and performance overall. Its production, the helicopter entered production as the HU-1A starting in 1960, and in '62 they changed it to the UH-1. And the military standardized that aircraft's name, and the nickname Huey comes from its original HU-1 Alpha. A volume of 16,000 Hueys were produced, which is probably the most produced helicopter, I would imagine, in the world, not just the U.S., but definitely in the U.S. for military. Now, its role, the Huey was designed as a utility helicopter performing diverse ranges of missions from troop to cargo transport to medical evacuations, search and rescue, and more. I mean, we all saw how it was used, especially in Vietnam, looking at We Were Soldiers and how it was used there. And of course, we're going to get into Vietnam. Its engine, early models used a single Lycoming T3 turboshaft engine, not turbocharged. And later models incorporated more powerful versions to boost the payload and performance, so speed and how many people and how much cargo the helicopter could carry. It has different variants, single engine, twin engine, and modernized versions today, including the UH-1 Yankee Venom, which is 4 blades instead of the 2 blades. The civilian version is the Bell 204, 205, and 212, which were also produced widely and used outside the military. A lot of search and rescue guys use those. A lot of fire departments also use the Huey today. In Vietnam, the Huey was debuted during combat in the Vietnam War, where it became a defining symbol of conflict. Yeah, you would hear that thing coming from a mile away. Roles in Vietnam, it performed troop transport, medic evacuations or medevacs, cargo supply, command and control, search and rescue, and armed for gunship missions. So they would put 50 cals or 240s or on it, or 249s. The gunship, armed with variants of rockets, grenade launchers, and machine guns, crews often modified them to field the specific battlefield needs. So yeah, you could mount rockets on it. I'm sure it's like 20mm rockets. The scale of use, around 7,000 Hueys were deployed to the Vietnam theater, and over 3,300 were destroyed in combat or accidents over the course of the war. Yeah, they were taking them things out like nothing because you could hear them, but man, were they cool. And then after Vietnam, the Huey was exported to numerous countries across the world. Saw a bunch of other conflicts. Rhodesian Bush War. Don't know if we can say that anymore. Rhodesia. The Falklands War, the war in Afghanistan, and the 2009 or 2007 Lebanon conflict. Many nations produced or assembled licensed versions of these helicopter designs and influenced range and roles and adaptations. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Iran has their own adaptation of a Huey. So later years, the U.S. Army and the UH-1 was gradually phased out and introduced new helicopters like the Black Hawk, which of course assumed that role in a great way. The Huey remained in service in some of the units even decades after its introduction, certain branches, including some Marine Corps units, continued operating the updated version into this century. Its legacy, the Huey's versatile and ruggedness, is an iconic silhouette and have cemented its place in aviation history. Yeah, everybody knows about it. The role in television documentaries coverage during the Vietnam War made it very recognized, because Vietnam was the first war to be publicly televised for other people. That's why it was hard to propagandize the U.S. citizens to get behind the war, because it was publicly televised and the first war ever to be. Its design influenced future military helicopter development and many variants, and are still seen in service globally today. Yeah, you see a lot of first responders using these Hueys everywhere. I mean, they're probably pretty decently priced compared to like a Black Hawk civilian version. And it evolved through the engine and airframe improvements and became one of the most produced variants. Twin engine version was widely used by U.S. forces and other Bells. The 204, 205, and 212 are the ones that are used all across the civilian world, and the modernized one with the 4-blade is what the Marine Corps kept using. And let's see what countries used it, because I do not remember. I should probably put that in here. So, like I said, Iran has their own version of it. Some other countries do, but they're the ones who stuck out the most. And in Vietnam, the U.S. Air Force adopted their own version of the Huey, which is they're not usually typically flying helicopters. The Navy, of course, DEA uses it, or used it. And then Argentina, Australia, of course, they're one of our close allies. El Salvador, Germany, Israel, Japan also uses the Huey or a variant of it, not the original. Lebanon, New Zealand, Pakistan, surprise on that one. The Philippines, not surprised. Rhodesia at the time used it during the Rhodesian Bush War, and the Rhodesian Air Force obtained 11 from Israeli, their version of it, which was the Augusta Bell 205 Alphas. In Yemen, in 2009, Yemen received 1, and these remained grounded for most of their time as they were in Yemen. At least one helicopter is heavily damaged during the Saudi-led airstrike against Al Anbar air bases. That's crazy. And then, like I said, you have the different versions. You have the first prototype, which is the XH40, the XY40, until you finally got to the Huey, and then they just kept on developing it better and better after that. And then, of course, different countries, some different countries had their own version of it and its characteristics for the overall aircraft. It was a crew of 1 to 4, 3,800 pounds. I don't know if that's light or heavy for an aircraft. I don't know too much about helicopters. And its gross weight was 9,000 pounds. Max takeoff weight was 9,500 pounds. Again, don't know if that's good or not. Could be good, could be bad. Max speed 127 miles per hour. Air defense moves a lot faster than 127, but its cruise speed was also 127. So I don't know if there's a typo there or not. And then with, 70 millimeter rockets and 7.62 millimeter machine guns. Of course, notable in media during the Vietnam War, and then of course publicized during all the different movies: Green Berets, The Deer Hunter, Platoon, great movie, Hamburger Hill, Apocalypse Now, Casualties of War, Born on the 4th of July, and of course We Were Soldiers, which originally with the Air Cav, showing that off and how they could use it. in there. You can also go see it in the Smithsonian. Beautiful piece of equipment ever built. But that is the Huey, one of the best sounding military vehicles you'll ever hear, or civilian versions. You'll also ever hear the two blades on it popping. Nothing beats it. But until next time, I'm Wiki Reader, and let me know what page you want me to read next, and we'll go to it. Like, comment, and subscribe.